Okay. Well, I'm here to talk basically, it's real simple, right? There is a serious problem in the Philippines when it comes to China. I don't like what's happening. I've been watching for months. I report on a lot of this stuff. And I know I'm going live. I don't expect anybody to join. It's just easier to go live on my computer to post. And that way it's up there, right? So basically, China is in Philippine waters and not only harassing Chinese fishermen, Chinese Coast Guard, Chinese Navy, they are basically attacking the Philippine fishermen, Philippine Coast Guard, Philippine Navy, right? The Philippine people. China just doesn't have a border dispute with the Philippines. They got a border dispute with everybody. And by dispute, I mean they're bullying. That's all they are. They're just bullying, right? No, I guess not. Okay. And they attacked a resupply mission by the Philippine Coast Guard for some reason didn't have any weapons. They're ordered not to do anything, right? So a bunch of at first when I heard the story, I was really, really angry. I couldn't figure why the Filipinos didn't defend themselves. But when I saw the video when they're surrounded by 10-1 and their ship was being boarded, they were deflating the rafts. They cut off a Philippine Coast Guard's thumb because they were using hatchets, swords, makeshift weapons. And what really makes me angry the most is not so much that China's doing this because that's what we expect the CCP to do. They expect the CCP to not respect human rights, not to respect sovereign territory. They're going to do what they want to do until they're forced to stop. Was the Philippine government's reaction. And I'm pretty pissed. But I'm more pissed that there isn't enough pissed people in the Philippines. And for some of the comments I've been reading, there is a lot of angry people. But Filipinos don't seem to understand where to direct that anger because you should be calling your congressman and letting your congressman know you don't like what's going on, that you're not going to vote for him unless something's done about this problem. Now, there was a big protest outside the Chinese embassy not long ago here in the Philippines, and maybe you need more of that. But we have Philippine people, spokesmen, people in positions. They said it wasn't an armed attack. They laughed. One guy was actually in the Philippine government, laughed when he heard about the thumb being cut off. He said it was just a misunderstanding. No, it's not a misunderstanding. And once he said that, he should have lost his job. And you Filipino people should have been the one saying this. He should have lost his job. Period. That's not cool. That you got soldiers out there sacrificing themselves for the Philippine people, trying to resupply to other soldiers. But you got congressmen, you got senators, you got spokesmen, you got people in certain positions that say it was just misunderstanding. And here's what gets me. They made a group, a committee designed to make policy based on this West Philippine Sea issue. And what they recommended to Marcos was that they notify China when they're going to resupply in their own waters. And that's a no-go. That's what China wanted to begin with. Because once you do that, you lose the validation. You lose the validation that it's your waters to begin with. And it is. China's over there laughing their butts off at you. And here's the thing. It's not just the West Philippine Sea that's the problem. It's a problem inside the country too. Because they have this thing called POGOs, right? These offshore gaming hubs, these offshore gambling industries where there are human trafficking, drugs, but now they're finding military clothes in them. Now they're finding there might be a lot of Chinese immigrants, and there was a lot of other immigrants. And what they do is if you don't make quotas, they sit there and they abuse you. They have torture rooms that they found. They got torture victims that they recovered. That's what the Chinese are doing. So they're coming in, they're beating Filipinos. They're taking advantage of some people and other, there's some from Indonesia, Vietnam. There's a few other legal immigrants, but most of these Chinese are owning these pogos. But now you got mayors, not just one, out of Tarlac, there's a couple that are born in China. They don't even have the proper documentation to be a mayor. They say they're citizens, but they weren't. They're appointed by the CCP. They got CCP ties that some YouTubers did a really great job on recovering. So not only do you have Chinese mayors, CCP mayors that were pogo ties, the criminal ties, they're making all his money, appointed by China. Now you have some of these colleges that are by these military bases, primarily mostly Chinese for some reason. These visas got approved, and nobody in the government's got held accountable for that, which should make you Filipinos angry because some of those colleges should be for you. So why is it they're getting scholarships to come to the Philippines? And we're not talking about one or two Chinese. We're talking about 90% more prominent Chinese colleges in the Philippines that students just take over, and it just happens to be by a military base. Then you got reports not too long ago of military drills by Chinese inside some of these villages that the government did take serious. So they're doing military marching drills inside villages. They're doing pogos, which is ripping off people. So now they got your SIM card info, which I did a report on. It should have been bigger story and it should have went around more because you Filipinos should be mad more than anybody. Because the SIM card registration law that passed a couple years ago was meant to protect you from this kind of stuff, but it gets in the hands of the mayors, and that's why you keep getting these taxes daily from these casinos. So where's the protection? The government said that this was supposed to happen. So they're not protecting the Philippine fishermen. They're not protecting the Philippine Coast Guard's not even protecting themselves properly. They're not defending their own waters. Instead, you got Marcos saying, well, practice maximum restraint. How many thumbs got to get cut off? How many rafts got to get cut off? How much of those resupply missions were stolen? Some of the goods, some of the materials, some of the food, some of the medicine that Chinese take. How much you going to sit there and take before you wake up as a man and say, you know what, I've had enough of this? How many people online have already said, why don't you kick the Chinese ambassador out? That's the first step you can do is man up, say, we're not going to take any more Chinese ambassadors. We're going to close the Chinese embassy in Manila. We're going to send them back because you're not acting right. But instead you got, well, we can still take their money. That's a separate issue. And they're making excuses. Where's your Filipino pride? Why aren't you guys writing your Philippine congressmen, your Philippine senators, going on the news? Why aren't you news people a little bit more angry? Instead of saying disputed West Filipino Sea, it's an invasion. It's an attack. They declared war once they did that. When they pulled out the machetes, when they're in your territory and you do nothing, because right now I was reading some of these Chinese articles from the Chinese, we call it spokesman papers, basically, the mouthpiece of the CCP, saying it was always theirs. They're literally saying that the countries are condemning the Philippines and not China because, they sit there and they restrict the internet. So most people in China can't even read the truth. But you can in the Philippines. You can easily look up on your phone and put that TikTok down, stop making these dances and say, you know what? Today's the day I want to make a difference. Today's the day I'm going to get a hold of my congressman, find out how I'm going to write him an email. I'm going to write him a letter. I'm going to say, I'm not going to vote for you. I'm not going to vote for any village chiefs, these baron guys. I'm not going to vote for any of you. I'm not going to vote for any future presidents that won't stand up for the Philippine people anymore. Screw taking Chinese money. For what? Build roads? You got your own people here. You can build roads. There's other ways you can make money other than bowing to China. Maybe instead of getting mad at America for a lot of stuff, what some of you sit there do, maybe you learn the facts. Because some of you online, it really makes me angry. So America ain't doing nothing. They're pretty useless. Well, if you think America ain't doing nothing, what do you think the Philippine government's doing? I find it funny your mouth flames out to America all the time, but it don't to your own government. And your own government says they don't want America doing anything right now. Now's not the time to act. Well, it really wasn't an attack. It was just a misunderstanding. But no, you want to get mad at America. And my thing is, America would defend the Philippines to the death. People like me would defend the Philippines to the death. We have a lot of veterans here. that would defend the Philippines with their last breath if they have to, because they love this country. And if I can love this country as a foreigner, I don't understand why you can't love it as a Filipino. How hard is it? And you as a government, you know a lot of people are angry, but you ain't doing nothing. You're not doing nothing, Marcos. The people you pointed ain't doing nothing. Sarah Duterte ain't doing nothing. She done it backed out of resonated the second her educational spot. Why do you still have her for a vice president? Why are you still even talking to the Dirt Days? Their problem, part of the problem was going on with a lot of the stuff that they did. And the quick backstory was the Dirt Day was mad at America because of a drug deal. Because a few congressmen in America said, well, maybe we should stop giving them a certain aid, certain arms deals, and certain everything else because some of that stuff's being used to kill people. Maybe it's not right. Maybe. But where is your anger? Where is your love for your country? When I'm walking around parts of Manila, Quezon City, Makati, Tarlac, Pampanga, it don't matter where I go. I've not seen a Filipino flag hang outside anybody's house. I know what the Filipino flag looks like. Some of you, I don't think you know what it looks like. Some of you don't even think understand what it means to be Filipino, and you're Filipino. And that's sad. Why are you voting people in? First of all, you don't even know where they're from. Tarlac, I'm looking at you, Tarlac. You voted for a mayor with CCP ties that lies about everything. He's never even been in the Philippines. That has ties to Pogo, but you people in Tarlac voted for her? You know, if you did your research, we'll just look at a piece of paper and just went, eeny, meeny, miny, mo. You got to wake up a little bit more. You need to do your due diligence before you vote for people. And it's the same thing we have in America problem going on. Right now in America, we got our own voting problems going on between two people that shouldn't be running. We got one criminal, one felon that tried to overtake in America, and the other one's probably too old to be running right now. But the Democratic Party in America didn't have enough guts to tell them that, no, you're not running. We're going to send somebody a little bit more younger that can actually do some stuff, that knows how to speak, that knows how to do all this stuff. But instead, we got two idiots in America running. So believe me when I tell you, I know problems when I see it. And the biggest problem with you Filipino people, whether you like it or not, whether anybody knows this or not, because I was right about a lot of stuff. I was right about how the Ukraine war was going to start. I was right about the Ukraine war going on. I was right about what happened with the apocalypse that would happen with the mask and all the COVID stuff. I was right about all of that. None of you seem to listen. But I was right what ended up happening. I tried to save Filipinos. I tried to save your jobs, but you didn't listen. And that's the problem because you don't want to listen. You're too busy on TikTok, too busy on Facebook, too busy doing your little giggly dances. Look at me, I'm dancing. Did I get any likes? But instead, you don't understand what's going on. That your own soldiers, your own Coast Guard is being attacked. You got people being sick on the ships that couldn't even get medical aid in time. They had to be rescued, blocked by China. But you got the Philippine government saying, well, that could be a separate issue. We'll still take Chinese money so we can build this nice little bridge someplace, you know. That's your government's logic. But where's your anger? Where? Huh? And then when you Filipinos wake the hell up, put that little beer down, put the little phone down sometimes from the TikTok and say, you know what? Today's the day, damn it. I'm going to write my congressman. I'm going to call. I'm going to demand that Chinese embassy be shut down. I'm going to demand that Marcos do something or they're not going to get voted in no more. And you protest and you keep writing and you peacefully protest. Don't do what Trump supporters do. Don't do what Antifa does. Do it with the instructions of the law and say, you know what? We are tired of this. We need a government that fights for our people, that stands up for our troops, that stands up for the Coast Guard. And if you don't want to do that, then you ain't going to have a job next time. Then maybe you should step down now. That's what you Filipinos should be saying. But instead, you got Manila Times writing articles about how great China is. Meanwhile, in China, they're running out of money. Their jobs are closing down left and right. People are unemployed at record rates. Some of them are starving. When they go to these buffets, you see these Chinese buffet videos where they don't know how to act or to clean everything out. They don't know how to act. On cruise ships and their own ports, when they go overseas and travel, they act like they never ate before. Maybe they haven't. But you got people like Roberto Tiglo writing saying how great China is and why the Filipinos should just bow down to them. Instead of writing articles, why are we Filipinos not defending ourselves? Why? If I could be angry about it, I don't understand why you can't. We could be friends with everybody. Crap doesn't work because, believe me or not, China knows your personality because they watched your TikToks. They watched your Facebooks. They watched all these posts that you've done. And you know what? They made propaganda based off that. Because you were that easily mindset and so predictable that they knew they could come in your waters and take your territory and you wouldn't do nothing. If you don't have enough respect for yourself to demand your government to start taking proper action, then don't ask America maybe to defend you, because if you're not willing to defend yourself, why should another country do it for you? Why? Why even have a Coast Guard and waste money on Coast Guard? Why waste money on a freaking Navy? Why? If you're not going to do nothing, if they're kind of useless, if you tell them to back down, let China just run all over you, don't engage them, maximize total patience and do all this stuff, but just don't do anything. Why even have a Philippine Navy? Why even have a Philippine Coast Guard if you and the government are not going to do a damn thing? What makes it even worse is you Filipinos are not doing a damn thing either, and it should make you angry. Right now, when I look out the street, I bet you if I took the camera and I walk out right now, I would not find a Filipino flag within 3 hours walking distance of me, because there's no Filipino pride in their flag. There's no Filipino pride in their armed services, in their Navy, in their Army, who was for the longest time in Sulu trying to free people down there fighting the Muslim terrorist group. But where were you? On TikTok doing dances. Ooh, that made a big difference in everybody's life. Nobody ever saw anybody dance on the internet before. So you can either ignore this video like most of you will, or you can grow up here and man up, which has been a problem since I've seen in the Philippines. There's very few men. I'm not going to lie. I don't care if you get mad at me. There's very few men in the Philippines. Most of the men here are Charlie males. And it's sad. I just don't understand why you in the Philippines won't stand up for yourselves. How hard is it? How hard is it to tell your government we had enough? We had enough. We don't want this no more. We don't want to do this no more. We don't want no more soldiers getting their thumbs cut off. Today it's a thumb. Tomorrow it's a life. And you got Filipino people in positions of power saying it was just a misunderstanding. And there just wasn't enough anger about it. Just a few comments online making fun of the situation. Matter of fact, I'm willing to bet that any Filipino listens to this don't even either know who their congressman is in their district, let alone know how to write them and get a hold of them. Why are you voting these people in if they don't have your best interest, your country's best interest? Just like during the pandemic. You had a chance to have jobs here in the pandemic for build medical equipment, to build all that, but they went for China. You guys had the industry here, but none of you got mad about it. You just allowed jobs to go away. Why? So I'm telling you right now, don't expect America to fight for you if you're not willing to fight for yourselves. And you can start doing that by manning up, writing your congressmen, writing your senators, telling these barren guys, if you don't declare Chinese embassy non grata, if you don't declare the CCP non grata, I'm not voting for you. I'm not voting for you. Because if you don't care enough about me, you don't care enough to get my vote. But it's a shame. We don't have any men running in no more. In America, we got the same problems. So I don't know what to do with you guys. I really don't. At this point, if you're not willing to defend yourselves, if you got people in your government saying that, it's either misunderstanding or laughing at their own soldiers, then you know what? Just let China have everything and don't say crap. Don't say a damn thing. Because if you're not willing to man up, then shut up.